Hey friends, this is Steve at the Whirly Bugger Fly Company. Welcome again to our Saturday roundtable of fly tying. We welcome Brandon Thomas here, local Ellensburg, local yokel, fantastic tyer. Brandon's going to tie up today his slim Pickens Skwala stonefly nymph. So turn it over to Brandon here.
So, like Steve said, we're going to tie this slim Pickens Skwala nymph, which is a woven body fly, utilizing midge and or micro tubing that you can get from Hairline and Steve stocks here in the shop. Some of the materials that we're going to use here is going to be some pheasant body feathers that we'll use for our tails and antennae, and we'll strip those and color them with a permanent marker. The other materials are going to be the midge tubing on this particular fly, because we're tying a size 8. We're going to use Montana Fly's speckled sexy legs, Montana Fly skinny skin, Hairtron and Olive Dun, all tied on a Dairiki 700B size 8 hook. Okay, so we're going to start by making a small dubbing ball here at the bend of the hook to help keep the tails flared out. Just get that on there. Next we're going to tie in our tails. Again, we're using pheasant body feathers. I'm going to measure roughly the length of the hook. I'm going to use my fingernail and put a slight kink in that feather stem. I'm going to tie that on. We'll do the other side. Measure, give it a slight kink. Tie that other tail on. One of the attributes of this fly is that its profile is wide and flat, much like the natural. And so we're going to use these tapered feather stems. I'm going to lash those to the side of the hook shank to help create a tapered, wide but flat underbody to build our woven thorax on. Clip away our excess. Now we're going to tie in our midge tubing. We'll lash that to the side as well to further enhance that wide, flat profile. So we'll start with the near side here. Get that all bound down. We'll turn back to the midpoint of the shank. We'll tie in the other side. Come on, work with me. So there, we've got our tubing mounted on opposing sides of the hook shank. Next we're going to make a real clean thread base for this tubing to lay on top of. Okay, so as you can see, I've rotated the vise so the eye of the hook is facing me. This makes the weaving process much easier, and we're going to begin that weaving process by taking these two pieces of midge tubing and tying a simple overhand knot and tying that knot down tight on top of the hook shank. What this does is it prevents the individual weave wraps from sliding back on the hook shank. So to perform this weave, we're going to always take the lighter of the two colors, pass it over the top of the darker color and through, creating an overhand knot, and then the point at which the dark color crosses the light, we're going to separate that and slide it over the hook shank, pulling the two sides together and coming tight on to our thread base. Now your lighter color has changed to the right side of the shank. We're going to tie our overhand knot again, and there again we're going to find where the darker color crosses the lighter, separate them, dark on top, light underneath, slide it back, pull them up tight, and you can vary the tension with which you tie each individual weave to help create a tapered body. The closer I get to the midpoint of the shank, the less tension I'll put on these individual weaves, creating a tapered body for this fly. One of the reasons I developed this fly, particularly for the Skwala hatch, is one, to more closely imitate the natural, more realistic fly, and two, the years of experience in fishing the hatch. Standard nymph patterns, the later in the hatch season got, really just did not perform as well as they did earlier in the hatch. And I think that's because, being that the Skwala Stone is the first major hatch on the Yakima River for the new year, it tends to get a lot of fishing pressure, and the fish quickly become educated to all the standard patterns that everybody else is fishing. These flies are a bit of a labor of love, and they do take some time to tie, so you likely won't fill your fly box with them. But to have a few in your box for that late season, when the fish have become educated to your rubber leg pat stone and all the other generic type patterns that everybody else is using, by having these, which have a slender profile and transmit light, that are translucent, really should increase your catch rate. So we're going to just continue creating this abdomen section by placing successive weaves. Again, always passing the dark over the light, finding where that dark color crosses the lighter color, separating the two, and sliding them onto the hook shank. You're going to want to have approximately 4 inches of tubing material to work with. I found that to be about an optimal length. It's long enough to complete the fly with, not so long that handling the material becomes difficult, and not so short as to run out of material. When I first was developing this fly, that was one problem that I did rapidly find out, was if I did not have enough material when I got near the end of the abdomen section of the body, there just was not enough length of material to work with. It could be done, but it certainly made the task that much more difficult. So I think we're about done with this portion of the fly. We've created our woven body abdomen. Take a quick look underneath. and you can see that you get that two-tone effect of dark on top and light underneath. So we're going to tie our tying thread back on here, and we're going to secure these tag ends of tubing, and we're going to build our thorax portion. Just take and we'll lash these down. Trim the excess off. One package of this Nymph tubing and micro tubing. I'll use the micro tubing size, which is quite a bit finer diameter, on a size 10 hook. In either case, one package of tubing will produce approximately half a dozen flies. So we're going to dub a small section here of this thorax in preparation for tying on our first wing case and first set of legs. So we're going to take a piece of that Montana fly skinny skin. You could use Wapsi's thin skin if you don't have any of the skinny skin available, but Steve does stock it here in the shop. And what I like about it is it's got a little more natural modeling to it, and it's actually physically thinner than the Wapsi product. Reduces your tie-in bulk. So we're going to tie that first wing case on. And we're going to cut it off. We'll secure that down here. We're going to cover all these wraps up with more dubbing. And we're going to tie on our first set of legs. Okay, so we're going to use Montana's new speckled sexy legs, which is a great product. It's the same type of material as FlexiFloss, only it's got this great barring to it, which just adds that something that FlexiFloss lacked. You know, it's great stuff, but this is even better. So I'm going to measure that at roughly the length of the abdomen. Tie it on here. Flip the vise over. Tie on the other leg. Get it repositioned a little bit. And if you've seen Steve's video tying his March Brown emerger, he talks a lot about rubber legs and not getting too concerned about their position on the initial tie down, because you can really crank these around once you get them tied in to get them right where you want them. So we're going to build the next section of this thorax, tie in another wing case, another set of legs here. We'll add some dubbing to our thread, further build up that section there. What I'm doing with this skinny skin is I'm just taking my scissors points and I'm cutting a little V-notch out of the end to give that impression of a wing case. Get that position where I like it. Tie her on down. Only this time I'm not going to clip this off, I'm going to fold it back. This is going to allow me to create the pronatum of the fly, which is that body segment in between the wing buds and the head. We'll tie a little bit of, spin a little bit more dubbing on here, give our rubber legs something to bite into. This time I'm going to tie these guys on. I'm going to fold the legs around our thread, bring them up, get them positioned, light wrap. Then we're going to come in and give it a little bit of torque, get them to splay out a little bit. Do that again on the other side. Get them positioned a little bit here. A little bit more dubbing. This will help set the position a little bit of these legs and create a tie-in point for that pronatum. So looks like we need to come in between here a little bit. We've got a little bit of a light spot in our dubbing right there. Bring this back around. Move our legs a little bit. We'll fold these guys back. Get some dubbing in front of them. Okay, so now we'll take that skinny skin, get that folded over and create that pronatum. Using a bodkin will help create a nice fold. If I can get this leg to stay out of my way, that'd be helpful. Put a couple loose straps on there. Get things positioned. A couple tight securing wraps. Cut the excess off. It looks like we'd be at the end of the fly, and we're close. We're going to wrap back over that pronatum section a bit, and we're going to add a little more dubbing, and then we're going to put some antennae on here. The pronatum section's pretty small. We just need a small pinch here. Help finish off the front end of this fly, and then we're going to put the antennae on. And if you don't have access to pheasant body feathers, whether it be from a full skin pheasant, goose biots will work just fine for this. I happen to have a full set pheasant skin, and I had no other use for the feathers, being that they have a natural taper to them, and they're stiff enough to hold their shape. They really seem to fit the bill. So here again, I'm just kind of measuring how long I want them, creating a slight kink in the feather stem with my fingernail, getting it positioned, tying it on. So all the constituent components are here. Need to clip these guys off. Cover it with a little bit of extra dubbing here. Covered up. As I'm sure most of you guys know, with dubbing, less is more. You can always add more dubbing to your thread. It's awfully hard taking dubbing off a fly once you've wrapped it around the shank of the hook. So we're going to come in here and we're going to make a 3 or 4 turn whip finish. Make sure we don't get that leg caught in there. There, we've got a finished fly. Crank these legs around a little bit, get them just where you want them. Great thing about rubber legs is you can mess with them as much as you want. If you want to add a little extra something to really make your friends jealous, take a black Sharpie and add some barring to your antennae and your tails. Just adds that one extra bit of realism. Fish probably really don't care too much about it, but your friends will be just impressed. And they are time consuming, but I don't think you can doubt or question just how good this fly looks. Again, all these materials are available at Whirly Bugger Fly Company, whether you go to their online web store or stop by the shop. You can even get the guys here a call and they can special order anything you like. That's the Slim Pickens Skwala.